I don't like the people that think that wrestling is what it is and it has to be that way, and good wrestling is what you think it is because of how it's been presented to you for years. And and part of the reason that I live in New York, and one of the blessings I've had of moving to New York, is that I go do these bar shows, or I go do these shows at House of Yes, and these people that don't know what pro wrestling is outside of Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, they're like, what the fuck? I've never seen anything like this in my goddamn life. Actually, wrestling is fucking cool. Wrestling is artistic. Wrestling is nothing that Vince McMahon made me think that wrestling is.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by Alt Playground. APG is more than just a place to find couples to swap with. Alt Playground is a lifestyle community for all non-monogamous and sexually adventurous people to connect and share. And you know I started a profile. Join me over at altplayground.net. That's altplayground.net. HotMovies.com has long been an ethical and affordable place to hashtag pay for some of your porn. Now with Hot Movies Select, customers gain access to unlimited viewings of tens of thousands of additional films from all their favorite studios for the low price of $24.95. Visit hotmovies.com, click Select Unlimited, and use promo code MANWHORE at checkout so they know who sent you. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Shout out to all the poly heels, the jobber jerk-offs, all your tweener tops, and the babyface doms. This is Billy Presida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Yeah, I don't really know what many of those words mean. I just found them on a wrestling jargon blog post. Of course, I had to look those up because we have... I don't believe it either. We have back-to-back kind of wrestling-themed Man Whore Podcast episodes. What? Yeah, this week we've got on the leader of the polyam cult, MV Young. You heard about him briefly last week on Hannah Harkness's episode, and I was like, well, I gotta meet this guy, and so I reached out so I could meet the guy, and you're about to meet him too. He's amazing. He came over, I tell people they usually budget like 45 to 75 minutes. He was here for 3 hours. We could not stop gabbing with each other, on mic, off mic, while he's in the bathroom 30,000 times. I think it was a combination of I will keep talking to you to keep you around so that I can pretend I have friends. And he was very caffeinated, so we just could not stop going. Cool dude. I said a weird thought. I was like, I hope he calls me back. We should hang out. I'm pathetic, but this was a really dope episode. I'm excited to share with you all in a little bit. But first, this was wonderful. I want to share a little tidbit. As many of y'all know, big glory hole proponent here at the Man Whore Podcast, especially during COVID, because when a government tells me to stick my dick through a curtain hole, I fucking do it for the sake of public health. And over the weekend, one of our beloved longtime Peep Show members shared some pictures and video of a glory hole setup he had rigged in his home. That then caused some members of the Peep Show to comment that his glory hole setup was a lot better than mine, and that I don't know how to cut a hole properly, whatever. Okay. So the hole just needs to be able to fit my cock. That's really it. It doesn't need to be art. But if that was not enough, that I inspired one of our whoreheads to hang a glory hole in his home. Holy shit. I just found out right before recording this that another Peep Show member drove out to him and blew him through the glory hole. I am so proud of you fucking sluts. I just, it makes a podcaster want to tear up a bit to know that I inspired people to have weird pornographic anonymous sex with each other. I mean, look, the Peep Show is not some sort of cruising ground, but when you've been sharing nudes with a group of people for long enough, sometimes you go, that one is pretty. If you don't know, by the way, the Peep Show, oh gosh, I loved off mic, I got to explain the Peep Show to MV Young, and he was fascinated. The Peep Show is a Telegram group chat that we have for $10 and up members on Patreon. And it's basically a group chat where we just share nudes, gifts, and compliments all day, every day. It's amazing. You know, like every day is Titty Tuesday, every day is Flagpole Friday, and apparently Sunday night was share a glory hole that looks better than Billy's. But it's just a really awesome, fucking fun, supportive, and like positive room. Cause like, yeah, we're sharing naked pictures of each other throughout the days, but like sometimes someone's like, yo, I got a really scary doctor's appointment. And then you got this like dozens of people showing up to support you and be like, yo, I got you. Come check in. How are you doing? Are you okay? What do you need? How fucking cool is that? I just wanted to talk about my dick on the internet, and accidentally we create a little group where people can be slutty and positive and safe with each other. I love it. So if you want to join the Peep Show, if you want to join us in there, maybe show off your glory hole setup, come join us at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Folks, y'all know I've been talking about Promescent over the last month or so, right? Great brand, great products. They got that delay spray. Hey, you know, the spray that helps the dick havers last a little bit longer. Big fan. Used it myself the other day. As y'all know, they've been offering Fan Whore Nation a very special deal, and they're offering it through June 16th. Now, here's where I'm going to ask you a little bit more of a favor for me. For your favorite little slutty podcaster out here in Bushwick. Apparently someone leaked the promo code on one of those like coupon sites, which I don't care about, but Promescent kind of does. Because right now they're getting all these conversions and they don't know if Fan Whore Nation is buying up all this Promescent or if it's just like random people who, you know, are finding the code when they were going to go shop. So if you were considering buying one of their many premium products, their gels, their massage oils, their lubes, the condoms, the delay spray, and more, and you would like this brand to, like, I don't know, give me money again sometime in the future, I would love it if you would, instead of using the promo code, if you would click the link in the show notes of this episode or any of the Promescent episodes from the last month and do your purchase that way instead, because that custom URL, that one they know is just from me and the listeners. And y'all would make me look like so cool to Promescent if when you buy your delay spray, you did it through the URL in the show notes of this episode. So that'd be great. And again, that deal is going to expire on June 16th. Anyways, that'd be dope. Thanks. Weird behind the curtain pull. Let's move forward. I don't know how to transition out of this. Let's just do a fan or appreciation moment. All right. Because, you know, when in doubt, say thank you to someone in your life. Gosh, the last year and change has made me like just full of fucking gratitude, especially for my listeners, especially for the members of my Patreon community who have stuck with me through these tough times. So right now I want to give a huge shout out to Trevor Harris, a newer whorehead, joining us in the Peep Show. Hey, Trevor. Tomorrow is a latter day. He knows what I'm talking about. Thanks, buddy, for supporting the podcast. And you too can gain access to all sorts of bonus content, access to the Peep Show, and you get the satisfaction of knowing you're supporting good old Billy over here. Become a member of our Patreon community. Again, that is at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. MV Young. MV Young is the leader of the Polyam cult. He is a polyamorous, pansexual, professional wrestler. That is not a string of words I thought that we were going to be getting to say anytime soon. But hey, progress. Am I right? And MV Young's part of that progress. MV Young's really actively right now making that progress happen pretty much just by existing and smacking down bitches on the mat. Is it a mat? Is it a tarp? I don't know what you call. I'm going to become a wrestling fan now because I had such an amazing chat with this dude. He's a trip and I think you're going to love him too. Let's get to my conversation with MV Young. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by HotMovies.com. You remember that Superbad scene where they were like, oh, we're going to college. Like, which porn subscription site should we do? I don't know. One porn subscription site? Yeah, of course. Because like, these things are like $25, $30, $40, $50 a month for a site access. And, that's just for one performer or one studio or like kind of one category of stuff. And that's really where hotmovies.com comes in there, because they've licensed content from like all of your favorite porn stars in all of your favorite porn studios, doing all your favorite porn categories. You don't need to manage a bunch of different subscriptions. You only need one in one convenient place, hotmovies.com. And they want to save you even more money. Oh my God. I honestly don't know why they do this. It seems bonkers to me, but hey, it's their business model. They're doing a premium subscription service. Hot Movies Select Unlimited is a carefully curated library of a couple 100,000 of their films, which I want to know whose job that is, to go through everything that hotmovies.com has to offer and then goes like, I'm going to narrow it down to these, I don't know, 160,000 flicks. I want to know who's carefully curating that. That sounds like a great gig. Give it a try. Sign up today. Hotmovies.com. Use promo code MANWHORE. Get some free minutes. Use those savings for extra lube, because I think you're going to need it. I just read today that over 50% of American adults are fully vaccinated. That means that like over 50% of American adults are ready for orgies again. Oh boy, oh yay, oh yeah. And where you're going to find out about those sex parties? altplayground.net. That's right. Our sponsor this week, APG. It's the lifestyle community where you're going to go to find your next non-monogamous adventure. I'm telling you. And APG, because it's more than just a site to like hook up with people. It's a resource. It's a community for all sorts of non-monogamous individuals. Hey, who knows? Maybe you'll meet some other members of the polyam cult over there. Hey. I mean, look, I've got a sex party on Saturday. I got a threesome on Friday. I mean, these things are coming out of the woodworks, and you want to know where you can find it locally. Like right now I'm scrolling on APG and like what we got here. They've got like this one section that's just for like sex clubs in various parts of the country. And because, APG, it's nationwide. And I'm seeing sex clubs, obviously, in New York City, but I'm seeing Philadelphia. I'm seeing Albany. I'm seeing some town in Virginia I can't pronounce. I'm seeing Seattle. I'm seeing Oklahoma City. You can find sex clubs, sex parties, sexy individuals all over this country at altplayground.net. So you're going to want to get your membership today, because you know what? A site like ABG, no more riffraff. No more flakes, no more phonies. These are people who are ready and prepared to actually meet with real people in real life. So head on over to altplayground.net today, make an account, see if you can find me over there. That's altplayground.net. Let's have some fun and let's get to the show.
Like I don't loathe casuals at all. I don't like the people that think that wrestling is what it is and it has to be that way, and good wrestling is what you think it is because of how it's been presented to you for years. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason that I live in New York, and one of the blessings I've had of moving to New York, is that I go do these bar shows, or I go do these shows at House of Yes, and these people that don't know what pro wrestling is outside of Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, they're like, what the fuck? I've never seen anything like this in my goddamn life. Actually, wrestling is fucking cool. Wrestling is artistic. Wrestling is nothing that Vince McMahon made me think that wrestling is. And that's like, to me, that's like the ultimate challenge, is because while wrestling on the independents is more profitable than it's ever been, the casual viewership on TV, and I know cable as a whole has gone down, but like the viewership as a whole is way down. And it's part of the reason is because what is the disconnect? Well, for one, in 2008, Dana White decided to kill wrestling by making UFC's slogan "as real as it gets," and it won over this, like, all of a sudden it was so pussy to be a wrestling fan if you were like a hetero male, straight, whatever fucking male that was like, you're like, oh yeah, actually wrestling's fake. I can't like it anymore because we
have this real option over here now. Right. Yeah.
And so to me, which is fine, I like both. I don't.
Do you feel like people who get like upset about like wrestling being quote unquote fake, like it's the same type of person who gets mad when a woman fakes an orgasm with them?
It's definitely the same
like,
type.
How dare you lie to me?
Well, yes, but that's exactly it's toxic. It's two things. It's just this toxic masculinity, and it's also for lack of a better, it's just the lack of ability to critically think and be like, okay, just because what I'm watching is performative does not mean that it is, I don't know, like why are you so insulted by this being fake? Why you need to like
why can't you let us?
You need to like look within yourself and be like, does this really matter that it's fake? Like, no one is really trying to fool anyone. Vince McMahon told everyone in 1984 that wrestling was fake, and ever since then, that's what it's been. In Japan, they know it's fake, and they fucking love it. They don't care. They understand the intricacies of the performance, and they respond to, when we break the fourth wall, it makes the things easier when we break the fourth wall. That's why it gets a reaction, because you know that it's a performance, but then we give you a little wink, wink. It makes things a lot cooler. Yeah. But of course, the average affliction wearing UFC fan, that's
just invoked affliction.
I whoops. That's too much. That's too much for them. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not trying to, alienate them, but to be honest, that's already not my fan base, so it doesn't really matter.
If you wear Axe body spray, you're not a fan of me.
You're not a fan of MV if you wear Axe body spray. It's very true.
My fans smell a lot more like Burning Man.
Oh, we love Burning Man. That's great.
I'm sitting with indie wrestler MV Young, the head of the Polyam,
the leader
cult.
of the Polyam cult.
Oh my, the Polyam cult. As a fellow poly friend of mine texted me right before you walked in.
Oh, nice.
What the hell is the Polyam cult? And I said, hang tight. I'm about to find out. Okay. Do you want to tell us about the Polyam cult?
Yeah. So the Polyam cult. Okay. Well, let me preface this. I've been a professional wrestler for 8 years, and I didn't really have a gimmick for 6 years. Would
they just be like, Mike?
Yeah, well, I was MV. So, yeah, actually, yes. When I first started wrestling, I was just Michael Young, and I was like, okay, this is fucking boring as shit. And then, a year in, I changed to MV, which is actually my initials.
Cool.
And I wasn't really, I was always just playing with this, stupid, bland, that I was charismatic, which I am, but, just in a very bland, too WWE type way. I don't really know what I was doing, I'm being honest with you. And
I can relate. I used to wear a blazer over a t-shirt on stage in college. So
right, but we're out there finding ourselves and failing in real time as performers. We fail in real time, and from getting shit on, that's how we discover ourselves. So whatever. I was meandering, and people would say I was a good wrestler, but I wasn't getting buzz, and rightfully so. I think now, because being a good wrestler oftentimes is not enough. You have to have a thing. You have to have a vibe about you that makes people want to pay tickets to see you, and that's why promoters book you. So I understand why I was struggling to get out of the tri-state area. So sometime around 2008, around 2018, I started really being out about my sexuality, and I started booking this show with a producer at House of Yes called Drags and Dropkicks.
What a great name.
Which is, we're combining drag performances with professional wrestling. And from there on out, so then there was this weird in between period where I was just I was exactly what I was before, but now I was out as pansexual. Mm-hmm. So and then but also at that time I had just really started being in a polyamorous relationship, and then in multiple polyamorous relationships as it goes. And then sometime around Halloween 2019, I was just really, I noticed that a lot of people with gimmicks were really blowing up because they could really fuck around on Twitter and promote themselves at any time with whatever their character was. They could just kind of put videos out and get this buzz when they weren't wrestling, which is important, because if you're just relying on shows to get you buzz, then you're relying on others to get you buzz, really. Yeah. So I noticed that was happening, and I felt like my entire life I was waiting for to be signed or something of that sort, to be knowing that I had this charisma in me, but waiting for someone to give me an opportunity to show it. And I just said, fuck it. I'm not doing this anymore. I am going to be the most me I can be. Me turned to 100. Me speaking to you when I come out, it's really me just amplifying myself and all my personality traits. And I'm polyamorous. I am pansexual, and I just turned it the fuck up with a little bit of sprinkle of the hard-hitting style I had before I was outwardly any of those things. Mm-hmm. And I became the Polyam King, and I started calling my fans my romantic partners in the same way that Beyonce has the Beehive, my romantic partners are my fans, and they get that and they love that. it got over really quickly, and then there was a little bit of pushback, but now I feel, and there still is pushback from like traditionalists, just because I think that some people don't even know what polyamory is, but some stupid shit has helped it along the way, like Tiger King. I know that's so stupid, but because Tiger King was polyamorous, people are like, oh no, now that Netflix has shoved in my face what polyamory is, I know what polyamory is, even though I was literally telling everyone what polyamory is.
But if that gets them in the door,
no, of course, and I take it, just give me your fucking money. But like also, it was, and it's frustrated me that I realized, but I also have realized that I am not playing checkers with this. I'm playing chess, because I think that polyamory and pansexuality and just openness of sexuality is quickly becoming more a thing. And then people are gonna be like, oh, MB was doing this in 2018. And it's gonna be like, and it's like this, because sometimes I'm just like, I don't even want to fucking do this, because it's like so exhausting to go to a random place and get this image over if they don't know who I am, which is happening less and less.
How do you do that? And what are the signs that you need to do that when you go to a gig?
That kind of happened in Vegas. Because it was interesting. It was a mixed crowd. Definitely a big portion of the crowd knew who I was.
Okay.
Because the music was very light, and it was like such a weird entrance setup. So I literally jumped the steps and I hopped out in this like one section, like went real nuts for me and knew who I was, but the other people like had no idea what they were watching. So basically, in a watered down version, how do you get this over in a fight? So I was actually wrestling a girl in an intergender match. So and so what we were doing was she kept hitting me, and I kept being like trying. I'd be like, you need to join my cult. No, understand. It's like, oh, Envy loves the way that you're hitting him. Please join my cult. Like, it was just like this, like,
hit me harder, baby.
Yeah. It was like this, like, I was like, I don't want to say making a kink thing, because I don't want to sexualize my opponent, but it was like it could have been you could have been taken either way. It was like you were watching this real fight, but you were also watching me try to coerce this person into being into my quote unquote cult. And maybe I'm willing to bet that the suburbanites and the Republicans in the crowd had no idea what the fuck they were watching, other than watching a woman repeatedly slap me over and over again while I enjoyed it. But it still they enjoyed it nonetheless. Yeah. So, it's things like that. It's like, and I can't sit there and give you a monologue on the microphone and explain to everyone every night that I'm the leader of a polyamorous cult, and then explain to you what polyamory is, because a lot of people probably don't.
But when you come out, sometimes can you tell like, oh, this crowd didn't understand what that word is?
Yeah, but I'm getting a pretty big following, and I think that people book me for what I am now. So people knew. Like I got a reaction. I got an MV chant, but then I remember no one can see it, but I keep pointing over to the right, because I literally remember there was like a fucking liberal section and conservative section. Sure. And like I could tell that these people over on the right were very confused. And I could tell the people in the bleachers, there's people in the bleachers that knew who I was. And I think like a few of them were even wearing my merch. And it's just is what it is. Like to be a queer and on openly queer, openly, alternative and on the road, that is what you live with. Even when I walk into a fucking gas station in the middle of nowhere and I have a dangly earring and blonde hair, like when I was walking on the strip in Vegas, I got called a faggot over and over again. It's because this is this is all living an alternative lifestyle. So I have to embrace it as a performer. There's gonna be people that hate me and don't know what I'm doing, and both.
They hate you. They don't know why, but they know you're different.
Yes,
and that's
absolutely,
enough.
absolutely. No, that's literally exactly what it is.
Oh, and one of the things that was fascinating was when I was looking you up, and I was like, oh, the poly wrestler in, and then it was like, oh, he's pansexual too. Sprinkle some more fun, interesting things on there.
I don't know who the first openly gay wrestler would have been.
But there are queer wrestlers now.
Yes, but WWE doesn't embrace them the way they need to be. That's the thing, is like there's a difference between being gay and a performer and being representation. And WWE doesn't let them be representation. Or WWE more so, what they do is they like kind of pat themselves on the back for representation when they need to.
We have one.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do in June. That's what they're going to do.
Bring her out.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do for Pride Month. They'll be like, Happy Pride Month, and they'll show Jake Atlas and the other wrestlers that are openly gay or whatever, and they'll be like, but like the reality is like, okay, so Jake Atlas, when he was on the Indies before he got signed, his finisher was called the LGB DDT. They don't let him call it that. They call it the fucking rainbow DDT now, which is, but also the reality is you have to realize that Fox News pumped $1 billion into WWE last year. Okay. So all this, anything that's like woke, like what conservatives will call woke. That's
what we would call decent.
Yeah, they're gonna shut that shit down.
Yeah.
They're gonna they won't let it become quote too much. You know what I mean? So it's just that's WWE's take is, and they're generally just bad people. Like they're just not like they fuck with Saudi Arabia. Yeah. They take money from Saudi Arabia and they do propaganda for Saudi Arabia. Pre-pandemic they were taking $500 million a year to do these huge stadium shows, and they'd have the announcers be like, and Saudi Arabia is quickly becoming a much more progressive place. Meanwhile, they kill people for being gay over there. Yeah. They killed an American reporter in the same year that WWE ran there just for, putting out the news. Yeah. So this is Vince McMahon in 2021. Yeah.
When did you realize that your sexuality was not what the norm was?
Very young.
Very young?
Yeah.
Dare you say MV young?
Very MV sorry. Young in my life.
I hate myself too.
At a very MV young. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I think that like, it was always so confusing for me because I didn't know about bisexuality or pansexuality, and I knew that I was attracted to women, but then I'd be like attracted to a man and I'd be like so confused. And I remember being like 12 and being like, Googling, am I gay? like I just like was so confused because like that I come from Western PA. Like and I don't have, my dad was a fucking cop. Like I don't like have people to be like, hey, you can, it's okay that, this is okay. It wasn't okay where I was from. And I'd be so fucking confused when I'd be attracted to a man and I'd be like, but wait, no, like I'm definitely attracted to women. I'd be like, nah, like I definitely like, yeah, like, no, like I'm attracted to women too. And I'd be like, am I just gay? I'd be like, it's just like, I didn't. Like,
were you dissecting like, well, I'm attracted to the women in this way. Is it the same as when I'm attracted here? Or
yeah.
Is it different? Like,
yeah. I was like, I quite literally remember like getting sick to my stomach and having panic attacks about being attracted to men. Like literally, like it was so unacceptable. I was an athlete. I was
What'd you play?
I played football. I played rugby. I boxed. I played baseball, basketball.
You were in all. You were in the big ones.
I played every sport, which is even more so why you cannot be out about being attracted to men. If I came out as gay, I probably wouldn't even be allowed to play sports. I'm not even joking. Like it honestly, like it was a very conservative town. And it wasn't like, it's not like as bad as just like, I am attracted to women. I dated a lot of women in high school and college. Like it's not like I have a girlfriend right now. Like, but it's just like you struggling once you embrace a side of yourself that you're confused about, even if it's like I'm not dating men all the time, you feel so much better. Like it feels so much better just be like, yes, I am attracted to men, like just like that. And but at that time in like middle school, high school, being like, why the fuck, why do I feel attracted to this person, or why do I feel attracted to a man? And then you're like sick to your stomach Googling and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get disowned. Like that is a very weird sensation that I can only describe as unique in that I had no one around me to explain to me bisexuality.
Did you have friends and family noticing like the panic attacks? Or you getting like sick to your stomach?
No, I don't think that anyone would ever I don't think anyone ever noticed anything about I maybe a little bit now that I think of it. I remember people used to like really tell me that I had a lot of like gay attributes. Like I remember that was the thing that people would be like, they would
like
point just like they'd say that, why do you talk like such a faggot all the time? I mean, like shit like that. And like people would say like, oh, your mannerism. People would call it my mannerisms to say that I kind of talk like I'm gay and stuff like that. And like just like shit like that. And I didn't really think about it. I just like that's what everyone did. Everyone just called each other gay in 2007, 2008.
Oh, the 90s.
Yeah, right.
What a time.
Yeah. So, and again, like it was fine because I was attracted to the women I was dating, but it wasn't fully me. I think that if I was just gay, I think that it would have been a lot worse. Yeah. But it was, it was what it was, and it made me who I am. And I think that, I left that town, and I'm sure I don't talk to hardly anyone there anymore, but they see who I am now. But also I'm very successful now, and I'm sure it like also fucks with them a little bit in a lot of ways. Whether they hate me and call me a faggot at the local pub in fucking Lower Borough, PA, they see me going everywhere and getting my name out there and getting really big publications writing about me.
Yeah.
And
watching you literally smack people down. So like they can call you that all they want, but it's like, you really want to step toe to toe?
No, and that's why it's one of the most beautiful.
It must be frustrating to like hate someone and know you can't fight them.
Yeah, of course. No, that is why I get so much heat, because that's why, one of the things that I feel so lucky about is that, the person that you saw playing all those sports and I used to fight and I still train in Muay Thai and all these things. And then, but also, I'm pansexual, and inherently what an idiot associates with queerness is feminization and weakness. And that is just not true. Mm-hmm. That is just not true. Like, I will beat the average person's ass 9 times out of 10. And also, I am a legitimate motherfucking professional wrestler. like I've had over 500 matches, and yes, wrestling is.
So you can beat their ass and you can make it look good.
Exactly. And like, honestly, yeah, most people that call me a faggot, I could probably do a very real wrestling move on in the streets and knock them the fuck out.
Please, I would love that viral video.
I know, I need that.
I will start to GoFundMe to help bail you out.
Thank you so much. Let's get it going now, because it's gonna happen the more fame I get.
When did you feel like you started to get some clarity on that?
About my sexuality?
Yeah.
So I remember the first moment I came out. I didn't come out till I was 21. And I didn't come out. I didn't have a moment. I didn't have a post or anything of the sort. I just remember
missing out on a lot of like equity.
Yeah. I was living in Pittsburgh, which was like the big city to my suburb, or the town I grew in. And there's like a pretty decent amount of, I was like definitely like okay, like I'm starting to feel like I want to date a man. I feel like, and so I was kind of seeing a guy on the low, and I just I was with my best friend Eva in the car, and I literally remember I just like told her, I was like, hey, I just want to tell you, I'm definitely bisexual. And she's like, oh, are you fucking with me? And I was like, no, I'm definitely bisexual. And she's like, oh, cool, congrats. And then I was like really still like insecure about that for a long time. And I was like kind of seeing this guy, and then we fell off. And then I started dating a woman, and I told her, and she was totally cool with it. And this is before I knew about pansexuality, which is why I'm saying bisexual.
I was going to ask because you have been interchanging a bit.
No, but we'll get to
that nuance later.
It's a nuance. And then I think that once I started dating a woman that was really clear, okay with it, it made me feel a lot more comfortable. And then I moved to New York City, where it was very okay with a lot more people. And that's when I was just like, okay, so basically it was like sitting there with like every new person that came into my life knew that I was queer, but like I wasn't out until I started incorporating it into my act. Did everyone know that I was out? And I actually didn't get to come out because a piece of shit drag queen wrestler came out for me.
Oh no! Is that the drag and drop kicks?
Yeah. So it's not even. Anyways, they've been canceled for being a piece of shit, and we're not going to say names, but
sure. Okay.
But
I am obligated as a host of a podcast to one time ask you.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Yeah.
Not going to name names. All right.
It's just type in the boy diva and you'll find everything you need to know on Google.
Okay.
So basically what happened is so the producer I was working with for House of Yes, my mentor in live event production, she knew I was bisexual, and she wanted to do this drags and dropkicks thing, and I felt a little uncomfortable because I wasn't out to the wrestling world or to personal people. And
were you nervous? Like, should I be taking up that space?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly that. And I also had I was dating a woman at the time, and monogamous. I was still monogamous, and so what I did was I wanted to do it because I wanted to get into production and shit of that sort. So, but I knew that this wrestler that is a piece of shit was running a queer wrestling company at the time. So I asked them for their blessing and asked them if they wanted to be involved. Instead of them just being involved, they completely took over. Were just an absolute mess to work with. They told everyone in professional wrestling that I was queer, which is why eventually I just came out, because it was just like I never got to have like so I have to get something off my chest post, or like I see a lot of people coming out. I'm just like, yeah, I never got that because fucking this dude just told everyone that I was queer. So that happened. I'm
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I don't know. Does it suck? It doesn't suck, but it does. I feel like I'm like one of the first people in wrestling to embrace bisexuality, pansexuality, and I don't really, no one ever really says it because of the way I came out was so like convoluted and weird. I didn't get to like be like, this is me, this is me telling you all that I'm the person.
You didn't get to like do a thing. You just got to kind of confirm what a lot of people
I was like,
knew.
the truth. Well, I never did anything. I just started being more queer in my performances, and then also like leaning into my, leaning into
look.
leaning into the look, but which feels good. Like it feels good. Like I feel great being the person I am, but I didn't get that like moment, which I don't know how much that really matters. But fuck that person.
It sounds like it matters a little bit for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like not having my moment in a way hurts me when I see other people getting to have their moments, and I feel like maybe like I never really got a series of affirmations like, "Hey, we still love you," and in a way, like I know that that's I know that there's a lot of people that do love me for who I am, but also like I feel like it's fucked up that my moment of coming out was that. However, doing it my way has become my own brand, and I think that maybe this was the best way for it to happen. But is there anyone that you feel like you still want to get those affirmations from? I mean, no, I'm not going to get affirmations from my family. They don't like it. It is what it is. Yeah. It's like, it's not me having that moment is not going to give me affirmations.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't really think that I talk to my mom and dad still, but I know that they hate everything about what I'm doing. But
were they on board with the wrestling?
No.
Okay,
no.
So like even
you have to realize that yes. If I was as fucking straight as a goddamn board,
still a disappointment.
If I'm a fucking wrestler, I'm still the most alt motherfucker to ever come out of my town. Like this is me being it's like blew the lid off of like me being like a person that can ever walk back into my hometown and not get gawked at.
I talk about sex for a living. I come from an uptight suburban area in New Jersey. So I mean like, I feel you.
Yeah, exactly.
I have the coolest job of everyone I graduated 8th grade with.
Yeah, like exactly. Exactly. And everyone that has their regular jobs and shit. And some of them do still talk to me. I don't know what they actually think of me, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, I mean, they hated wrestling before, and now that I am what I am, it's definitely worse.
Yeah, it just kept getting worse because like you keep coming out as more things.
Yeah,
it keeps getting more.
But what I'm doing is I'm also like I'm just like living life and feeling good about who I am, and as I learn more things about me, using it for performance, and that feels really good. Like and despite like what people in my hometown or my family thinks, like I'm so fucking free to be who I am and to be like. And it's damn near like therapy to be this person who's talking to you right now in this living room, but then I put my trunks on and my vest and I walk out and it's like I'm just like expressing myself to the fullest extent, and it's aggressive and it's sexual, sometimes sexual in the right crowd, sure. And it's just fucking performance art, and it's so therapeutic to get that adrenaline, and people are chanting my name, and it's just like embracing you for who you are, and you don't even know these fucking strangers, and you're just like, oh my god, this is the best feeling ever. And that's so much worth, and the more I get to do that, it's so much worth, the bullshit that comes from conservative family and hometowns.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so good. And just quick timeline question. So the shitty drag queen incident, is that before you did the rebrand?
Yes. Oh yeah.
So that happens, and then you do the rebrand. So I gotta imagine that when you like around 2018, when you were like, I'm gonna be the polyam, then I gotta imagine it's even more expressing yourself. You get to be even more.
And it was a very slow burn. So it was 2018, December 2018 was that show. Fuckface told everyone that I was queer, and then it was kind of like I was like, all right, it's out there, and it was kind of like I think that I changed my moniker to like, for a very short time, the American Attraction, which was just more like me. It was like I wasn't just like serious wrestler anymore. I was just like slutty. I was like, I am the American Attraction, MV Young, and I wasn't talking in third person yet, but I was like being more of a hoe out there, like a little bit. Like I was like finding myself as a person that was just thrown into the spotlight as a queer person. So then throughout that spring and summer, and then I think that at the House of Yes show that happened on Halloween, I was my last time as the American Attraction. I really felt it out, and then I just kind of like started calling Uncanny Attractions, which is the name of my Drags and Dropkicks promotion. I started calling them. I called them jokingly my Polyamorous cult, and it got really over, and that's when I really started leaning into it. So probably like November 2019 is when I was like, I am the leader of the Polyam cult. So it was like I was never. It was so weird for me that I couldn't just jump into it.
But it just seems like you get to be more. You're getting to be more and more yourself just in real life, and then you're getting to be more and more yourself on stage, or the exaggerated version of oneself.
Definitely, and it's also the way that things like I had a girlfriend in December 2018, and then Rick outed me, and we broke up, and it's not because of that. We just broke up, and then I think I had a boyfriend for a few months going into 2019, which also helped me really like be comfortable. Like it was like being able to be queer in real life helped me really dive into the shit. Like it was just like I was like, okay, like I have a boyfriend, I'm seeing him pretty often, and I was like, okay, this is for the first time in my life me being me, and because of that I could put that into my performances. And that helped me a lot. The boyfriend wasn't the best to me, but it was also a very important time in my life. At a very pinnacle, like I was still sad about losing the girlfriend, and I had a boyfriend, and like, I don't know how you feel creatively with like breakups and shit, but like I feel like for me, it's always been the most fire I get under my ass in that period. And like I feel like a
lot of fire, but a lot of sad tweets.
A lot of sadness, but a lot of sadness. But like I feel like, okay, so what I've learned from like therapy and other things is that when I delve into the sadness, I can really like, when you feel those things, it's really when you dig deep and like self-discover, and whenever you self-discover, you can be so free on stage. Like as you discover yourself more and more and more, you like this freeing thing that lets you be what I've become on stage, which is just the most open and exaggerated form of myself. That's from me being sad and thinking about who am I? What is the next step in life? Digging deep into your brain. And that was like, because I think there's a way to think when you're that sad that you don't get when you're happy. Like I'm very happy right now, but I think that like when I'm very sad, I'm a creative genius. And
I tell myself like, this is the cost of the genius.
Yeah.
You go like,
but I think the part of the reason I can keep moving creatively while I'm very happy is because of all the work that I did while I was fucking depressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I told you before we got started, like I really want to talk about some of the intersection of like queerness with wrestling in today. But first, we've been interchanging bisexual and pansexual, and I have a kind of dumb straight guy question. I don't think I've ever like truly like asked, but it's like, earlier you had described a moment where you're like, I think I want to I want to date a guy.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like it was like there was a specific guy you're like, I want to now date Jim. It was like, I think I want to date a guy. What does that feeling feel like? How is it different? It sounds like almost purposeful.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I'm trying to phrase it the best.
So the moment I was telling you about was me just being attracted to a man.
Okay.
And I literally remember just me being like, wait, why the fuck? I was like I had a crush on a man, and I was like, why? I was like, why? I was like, this is so. And I also remember only being attracted to women to that point, and I was like, why am I so attracted to this man? And it was freaking me the fuck out, making me depressed. I was like 14, I think. Like,
okay, I
was so young. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and it was just like a very overwhelming feeling. But I didn't realize until I was in college that bisexuality was a thing, because no one, you're either in Lower Borough, PA, where I'm from, you're either a fag or you're not. And and I was like, there was no one in that fucking town that could have explained to me what bisexuality is.
Sure.
So I just didn't know. But, and like I said, I didn't start hooking up with any men until I was 21. Mm-hmm. And that's, I moved out when I was like the latter part of when I was 17. So that's like a lot of me being on my own, and then moving to Pittsburgh, which is a bigger city, and like being around queer people, and like taking a breath and working on yourself and be like, okay, this is alternative lifestyle, which I already was to so many people because I was a professional wrestler, but these people really accept you for who you are. It's not like when people, from 18 before I started hanging out with people that were also alternative, it was like, you tell people you're a professional wrestler, like, well, that's fucking gay. Like,
They're like, oh, let me tell you.
But then you start hanging out with people that are like alternative, and they're like, oh my God, that's so cool, like whatever. And you're like, oh wait, really? You think that's cool?
Alternative people love when you do cool shit.
Right.
Like, you could be like, I make hummus out of beeswax and mason jars. And people are like, that's so fascinating. Can you please tell me more? I would love to hear your journey.
And I never had that. Like, literally, like, I was just, it was so, like, even when I remember I had my first professional match when I was 18, and I came home for Christmas, and I was so fucking proud of myself, and everyone shit on me in my hometown. Everyone was shitting on me. And I was like, no, I was like, yeah, like, I made my pro debut. And I remember this one fucker saying, he's like, well, like, when I think of like pro wrestlers, I think of like Brock Lesnar or The Rock. And I was like, yes. I was like, but I just got paid to wrestle on a professional wrestling show, despite it not being on television. There was people paying tickets that saw me wrestle. Like, do you not understand that, like, I went to school for this? Like, I became a professional. I had my first professional match. Yeah. Like, and like, that just hurt me really deeply. And then it was kind of like also like where, like, I would see like all these people from my high school and shit that were like doing music and other shit, and everyone was like, oh my God, yes, we support you. And then like, to me, they're like, nothing. And I was like, fuck, this fucking hurts. But once I started being like the alt scene of like Pittsburgh, and they embraced me, I was like, oh my God, like, I can really start leaning into being myself, which is still was such a slow burn process. But
it's so interesting that like the insult for like wrestling for so long was like, that's gay.
Yeah.
But wrestling was certainly not gay friendly.
No, I know you have to. No, my God, yes, you have to realize this like horrible tornado it can be to be a queer, and that's what when people say, "Oh, you people come out for clout." I'm like, bitch, you need to understand what being openly queer means in this fucking world before you say it's clout. Yes, I'm loved for many for being representation, but also you have to understand. You have to understand what this does to my personal life, my family life, what this does to, like, I was a straight worker for years, and then all of a sudden, I'm not anymore because now I'm too popular. But when I first came out, all of a sudden, all the companies that booked me when I was straight, when I thought I was straight, stopped booking me, and all of a sudden, I'm almost exclusively on Pride shows, which is fine. I feel good, but I'm a fucking professional wrestler. I'm not.
I don't just gay wrestle.
Yes.
I do all the wrestling.
And a lot of the people that, and how are you going to book me for years and then not know, and then you find out that I'm gay and you stop booking me? Yeah. Like, it's fucked up. So that's another thing. Is like, you have to realize, like, I had to, so it was kind of like, once I came out, it was freeing, but also like I dove myself back into a different conundrum, which was I had to dig myself out of not just being a stereotypical queer wrestler.
Yeah. I want to know, like, I'm curious about what place queerness has in wrestling today in a 2021. But at the same time, it's like, you tell me there were these like drag and drop kick shows, and I'm like, so that was there like this queer audience for the
that
wrestling?
Was
like,
so early. Like, okay, so to the person that came out for me's credit, they were doing it for first. They not in a good way, in a bad way, in a manipulative way, in a people not getting paid way, but so they were doing Pride shows, and they had a really great circle in Manhattan and Brooklyn that there was
an audience, like there was fire for it.
Yes. Okay. So I think that his business model was more like attracting people that want to be attracted to men wrestling, and mine's always been like empowering. That's the difference. And I think that I learned from what he did, and I made it more like a straight guy can go watch.
What he was doing was more like, these people may not like wrestling, but they like watching men grapple each other.
Yes. Okay. And I don't like that, and I don't. But also, I don't like it, and I always
minimizing.
I always say, like, like my one of my best friends, Effie, has a clothing brand called Wrestling is Gay, and I think that wrestling is gay is empowering in the sense that for years people just called even straight wrestlers gay. Yeah. But wrestling is gay can mean so many different things than wrestling is gay. Wrestling is gay could mean wrestling is gay could mean the queer talent are taking over. To me, that's what I take it as, because I was just on a Pride show in January, and I had a fucking sick match with another gay wrestler, Devin Monroe, and like it was so good. Like, and like the internet loved it. Like even Pro Wrestling Illustrated tweeted about it, and that was a big deal. And there was no gay spots. Like, it was just two queer wrestlers wrestling each other, having a really entertaining match. And to me, I think that was my presentation. Whereas the former that I'm talking about would be like, he would sometimes book like straight talent that were like ripped and sexy, and like they'd shove it in a nightclub. I think a lot of times, like when he would like shove his performances in a gay club, like they wouldn't even know what they're watching.
Yeah. but they'll watch it because there's
I'm at House of Yes telling you what it is, and I'm drawing in heterosexuals. I'm drawing in people from fucking Jersey. You know, what do they call them? The tunnel people?
Bridge and Tunnel
crowd. And then the Bushwick hipsters, and then and then actually queer people, of course. But what I do is I don't book just queer talent. I mix it in because I don't want to just be like, this is all queer. This is all. I want it to be like, this is look how good this queer wrestler does against this hetero wrestler. Look how normal this fucking wrestling match is.
It's just a wrestling match.
It's just a fucking wrestling match. And that's my take. And some people want to lean more into their queerness, and that is so fine. That is so fine. And me, I think that I always want to go back and forth on it. I always want to be like, oh, you think that I'm leaning too far into the queer? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to being a traditional wrestler. I was like, oh, you think I'm too much of a traditional wrestler? I'm going to throw some queerness on this. I always want to keep it going. That's me as a character too, but also with my brand and the shows that I run and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, the true sign of like, oh, is this all getting accepted now? Is like, no one gives a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
more and more people.
What a
don't.
world it will be where no one cares if the wrestler's queer, but they're still outraged he's poly.
Exactly. Oh
like,
my god.
Wouldn't that be a
But
nicer
you have to
world?
realize that like it was almost like I almost felt like when I started doing the polyam thing, it was almost like too soon. I feel like the world is now slowly delving into polyam. And also another stupid ass thing that happened that helped me was the fucking Will Smith. What was the thing with Will Smith and his wife and they were poly?
Okay, Will Smith and it's Jada, right?
Yeah.
They are, I believe, that fucking interview where like they kind of, the one that like went viral, like, oh, they got into it.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems like somebody cheated on somebody. Two adults had a conversation behind closed doors, came to an understanding, still are loving each other, staying together for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
It's not my business. But it seems like there was like some kind of a non-monogamous thing.
Yeah.
They got through it. Maybe they still practice it. Maybe not. Their kids fucking do it publicly.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're a poly household. I don't know. I have no beef with the.
That's what I'm saying. So people. So yeah, I guess the daughter's polyamorous too.
She's been very openly that. The son,
Jaden,
he's very gender bend. He's very like, openly gender bendy.
So there's been many times. Okay, let's just say this because now that you said the daughter thing, I am reminded of it. So fans,
I think they're net positive.
Fans that are not polyamorous, feel the need to tag me in any fucking polyamorous news that arises. I'm like, I don't fucking care. But sorry, that sounds so rude. But like the reality is that this is funny.
They mean well because they're trying to connect, but also
yes.
it's like, bitch, I know.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, yes, people have been polyamorous for hundreds of years. You motherfuckers are just finding out about it in America. This was always a thing, but it's cute. It's not annoying. It's cute, but it's like, I always know when the new big thing happens. And it's also nice because I think that, like I told you, the Tiger King thing,
yep.
People were like, oh, a big time celebrity is polyamorous. Well, now I understand Envy's gimmick even more. And I'm like, okay, whatever works, brother.
Yep.
Like, and you have to also realize that, and people have said that shit about me with women in my bisexuality. I'm like, I promise you that not as many women think that bisexuality is hot as you say.
People
they
accuse
do.
You of like playing up the pansexuality, the bisexuality.
People have
women.
said there's probably like I could probably fill this entire podcast with criticisms that people have given me.
I got space on the card.
Okay, great. One of them being that that for to get women or whatever, and I'm just like, dude, like I know for a fact that once women find out that I am bisexual or pansexual, they have ghosted me. Many times. There's definitely a bad stigma. Being pansexual, bisexual is not easy for dating. It's really great. I'll say this. Yes, people fetishize the fuck out of you and you get laid. But if you are looking for relationships, people don't want to date a bisexual for many reasons. They don't want to take you home to mom and dad because if they might be like accepting of queer people, but they don't want to go home and tell their daddy that they're dating a queer boy. Now they're queer adjacent. Yeah, yes. And there's also like stigmas of like how hurt it would be if a man cheated on you with another man and shit like. And these are literally things that women have told me. I'm not projecting. These are literally things that women have told me. I think they regret it now because this is like 2018, 2019, and I feel like shit has like biphobia awareness has really
less cute.
Yeah, and like it's definitely a thing, and So me coming out in 2018-ish, 2019, I remember that like I was like sandwiched so hard where like I couldn't really find a woman that wanted to be with me. And I remember like all my gay friends would send me like these memes that was like, Happy Pride Month, everyone, except for you bisexuals. You only get to celebrate 15 days. And I was like, motherfucker. I was like, it's so, and like, and I think that people have been like, I think a lot of bisexuals and pansexuals have stood up and been like, no, fuck this shit. Like, we're so sick of this. And it's changed a lot. But at the time, oh my God, dating was so hard. And it's,
I imagine.
But I mean, like, you know, like my partner now is like, my primary partner now is incredible and so accepting. And like, it's like very nice to find someone like that. But it definitely was like, you're too straight for men. You're too queer for women, you know. And
you get that from gay men as well?
Oh my God. These fucking New York gays hate bisexual.
By the way, you're very passionate for someone who's supposed to be invisible.
I know. Insane. No, but yeah, I think, yes, I don't think that gay men in New York really like bisexuals. I think that they fetishize. I think again, like there's definitely a stream of like being able to get sex because they fetishize you, but they don't want to spend time with you. They don't want to be with you.
Do you see that as a blessing that it really helps as a filtration system, or do you find it to be like
it's definitely a filtration system? And yes, for wholesome reasons, yes, it's a good thing. But I'll also say this, that it was such a fucking shitty time in my life, like realizing that that's how people felt about me. That
and not even about you, like
yeah,
it's not even about Michael at that point. It's just about like one of Michael's adjectives.
I felt like I trapped myself.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure you went through a breakup where you're like, I'm never gonna find love, and then realizing that people don't like you explicitly, don't want to date you explicitly because of what your sexuality is. That's very heartbreaking in many ways, and going through that over and over again made me so low, and which is what I was telling you about, where I was really diving into the shit and like how this explosion of who I am happened. And now that I'm kind of indie famous, or not that, yes, actually, yes.
Go for it.
Yeah. Now that I have a very big...
Don't pull back on the swagger now.
Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, now that I'm very well known and it's very obvious to everyone that I'm doing well, I think that a lot of people, and also, you know, the growth of the movement of, you know, the acceptance of bisexuality, pansexuality, but me being the pansexual wrestler, there's other pansexual wrestlers now, but me being very open, and, you know, I think that there's people that either regret it or probably would date me modern day that didn't back then. But yeah, no, I think that you're absolutely right. It's a filtration system. But it's also like, it created a moment personally. You know, this sucks for a lot of people that also have to go through that, but personally it created a very low moment in my life that led to an explosion, the explosion of me just being very empowered by myself and creating who I am. So yeah.
What do you think needs to be done in pro wrestling regarding queerness?
I think that in the indies and the underground, I think that we are experiencing right now what needs to happen, which is really just like, I just saw someone tweet the other day, and it is happening, and it's very funny that you see like all these like straight companies, you shouldn't call them, but non-traditional companies that aren't traditionally queer promoted doing pride shows, and it's like, we're not even like mad about it, it's just like cute. And it's also just like, Effie, who I was telling you about, like, he does the Big Gay Brunch, which is such a success. And then, you know, I do my polyam parties, and I do the drag.
What's the polyam parties?
Oh, wow. Yeah. We haven't got into that. Okay.
Do you tell? I love a party.
We have time. Okay. Okay. So polyam party.
Really splay out, like explore space.
Polyam party happened because of the pandemic. In last July, I was supposed to do a COVID-friendly, because I'm a live event producer too. Okay. I was supposed to do an album release party in a backyard in Bushwick. So I made all these arrangements, but I wanted to have wrestling too. So I did it, but the band canceled. So I just had a show, but I called the show. I've changed it to Polyam Party because of whatever. But at the time, it was called Poly Cult Party. Didn't think it was ever going to happen again, but we put it on Twitch and it trended on Twitter. And I was like, oh, damn. Okay. I love this. This is great. And then like it got me a bunch of followers and shit. And also people using Poly Cult Party as a hashtag, which is great for my brand. And that trended like 28th in the country. And I said, okay, this is something that I might want to experiment with again. Well, I kind of tucked it away. But when I say I tucked it away, I mean, I went home to Pittsburgh I went to go visit my friends in Pittsburgh the next week, and they had a backyard, and I literally was impulsively said, hey, I want to do this Labor Day weekend. And I told them. So a month later, I did Polycult Party 2 in a backyard in Pittsburgh.
And is it just a wrestling show, or is there like a poly thing to it?
So the first time, yes, it was pretty much just a wrestling show, but there was queer workers, like Me versus Effie was the main event, and it was just a wrestling show.
I didn't mean to say just a wrestling
but it was
show.
hosted by me, which was what makes it the Polycult Party.
When you say Polycult Party, my mind goes to all sorts of fun
well,
sexual
that's what we're working
bushwhacky
towards,
things.
and I'm glad that this is getting out there with this because I have a whole plan now. But
are we about to have the intersection of sex parties and
Yeah.
wrestling?
Well, okay. So let me. So you were talking about Burning Man, which is this is good. Let's talk, but let's get to it. Polycult Party 2 happens. Polycult in Pittsburgh. We trend 19th in the country. Really big deal to me. It does really well. Puts a lot of people's names on the map. Yada yada. And now it's winter. We're all sad. But like I'm still building my brand in the winter. I go to Austin. I'm wrestling 2 months ago. Or no, fuck. Last month I had Polycult Party 3 in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
We trended motherfucking 4th in the country. Like it said, like over 6,000 tweets about it. It was doing so. We averaged like at the highest point, we had like 2,500 viewers on Twitch. At our lowest, we were like 900. We were doing so well, and it blew up. Like now, Pro Wrestling Illustrated just did a story on it. And now it's like a big thing, and it's going to keep happening. And now I am really trying to push the boundaries of it. I don't really care if this is out there. I'm doing Polycult Party 4 on July 3rd in Bushwick. But what we're this is happening. Next summer, we are going to do Polyamorous. And it's going to be a music and wrestling festival in South Carolina with campers and RVs and shit like that. And I haven't told anyone this yet. I've told everyone that we're going to have 2 stages and 3 rings, and we're going to do that. But what you're talking about, group sex, I don't know how I'm going to lean towards it, but something along the lines of like Burning Man. Have you done Burning Man?
I'm familiar.
You're familiar. Okay.
I'm aware there's a
if
dome
I can comfortably.
My friend won a strap-on-a-thon at
Oh,
Burning Man,
hot!
so,
Love that. Yeah, my partner will tell you all about that. She's a veteran, but so which is part of my inspiration for this too. But so I would say that if first off, of course, tickets would be there would be an age limit on. But if I can comfortably get. I don't know if I want like an orgy dome as much as I want like normalizing sexuality talk, because I think we're gonna draw on a lot of wrestling people, like just like because
who might not be
and I want to be like I like if we can have people give seminars, because they do this at Burning Man, like we have speakers on polyamory and pansexuality and queerness and things like this, and then we have like group, like if it's like wrestling and music all day, and then like maybe there's a rave on one side of the thing, but the other is like it's like a fire where people talk about things.
Okay.
And like normal, like as I want it to be like
do you want there to be the capacity for play in certain spaces?
I need to like.
It sounds like you don't have all the logistics figured out, but I'm reading like
I kind of do.
It's okay. So I do a thing called Man Whore Con. I love that we just like take a thing that we are branding and we add con at the end, and it's like now it's a thing,
right?
So like Man Whore Con's not an orgy weekend.
Yeah.
Orgies happen at Man Whore Con at no thrusting of myself.
Okay.
So I don't say like I want to have this happen.
Yeah.
I try to build a container where I'm okay with that happening.
Yes. Okay.
I make sure everyone's properly informed of what may or may not happen.
Yes.
In which spaces, how people should behave. I think the rule we had at previous Man Whore Cons was like there'd be an after party after my like live podcast.
Yeah.
And then one of the rules would be like no genitals in the common areas before midnight or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then so all I've done is say, you can do these things. If you never want to see those things, you probably should leave by this time. But otherwise, all I do is try to build a loose container. I generally have like a broad consent policy that's like, I write in a non-sexual way.
There's a consent and rules just for my wrestling shows.
Oh yeah.
So
I try to say like I try to write consent rules that are non-sexual, both sexual and non-sexual, so I don't have to like redo them for a party. I can say, you're using the same rules, like you ask before you touch, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so if people do stuff like
Yeah.
great, like I did a live podcast in Oakland where like everyone just go hang out at the Airbnb that me and a couple friends had afterwards. Zero plans to do shit. But someone was like, y'all just want to like go upstairs and cuddle? And then like we're all making out like pretty immediately.
Yeah.
And so it's like, again, it's not like I'm trying to throw an orgy as much as I will build a space where if people want to do an orgy,
Definitely.
they can do that orgy.
I think that's definitely much more what I'm leaning towards. But what I do want, I do, because they do this at Burning Man too, and I do want people having I do want people to have like a platform to like share, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is like too ambitious, but I feel like mixing this draw of wrestling and music with also queerness and polyamory, like it could be really like if people that are coming there for wrestling and music festivals that have never done like a Burning Man type shit, like bond with these queers and these polyamorous people and they learn something, and like you're having these like very intelligent, well-spoken queer and polyamorous people talk to you and have an open discussion about things, you might change some lives, like I don't like I feel like it's things like that. And like of course, like I think that if you're in a fucking field with a music festival and wrestling and like everyone's getting drunk and shit, of course do I think that people could get yes, I'm telling you, 10 out here, drive your RVs into this fucking field, get trashed. Of course, I think there is going to be consent policy. There's always a consent policy for my shows. There is going to be a we do like a
but it sounds like you want to bring some kind of a group sex element, if ideally into.
I think that if it happens and people talk about it in a very pleasant way, it's very great for the brand. Yeah. I'm not going to be like, come here and fucking watch wrestling, but yeah, like
that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, if your RV,
come here, drive here and fucking watch wrestling.
If you're all having a great time and you fucking a giant RV, good for you, baby. As long as everyone is consenting, as long as everyone is happy, and as long as no one is uncomfortable, that's all I care about. And I also think there's going to be like camp counselors and shit and things like that, making sure that there's it's a lot of work, but it's it's a
long ways out, but it sounds very ambitious.
It's very long way out, and that's why I also have a bunch of events in between then to keep making this brand grow. So yes, it's very ambitious, but you also know, from Burning Man, like there is camp counselors that make sure, because there's a lot of sex at Burning Man, and there's also people roving around to make sure that motherfuckers aren't being creeps. And if you're a creep at Polyampalooza, you're getting thrown the fuck out, no exceptions. If you're transphobic, if you are homophobic, if you're racist, you're getting thrown out. But for the most part, that goes hand in hand with my brand. People know that, but it will be stated explicitly so that there's no questions. And like I said, I'm not going to am I going to promote orgies? No. If you want to go have an orgy and it's all consensual and everyone's coming and having a great time, hell yeah, let's fucking do it, baby.
What a way to live life.
Yeah.
That feels like a good spot to ask you like where folks can find you. But do you have an extra maybe like 15 minutes to do a little bonus episode?
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about poly. I feel like that one got a little.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk about polyamory.
It got lost in all that gay shit. No,
that's okay. It's a hard brand, It's a hard brand.
MV Young, where can people go find you, follow you, watch you wrestle and smack people down?
Oh my god. Okay, so I am on Twitter and Instagram at the only MV Young. Those are my at for both. I'm on Facebook. Actually, don't add me on Facebook, but I'm MV Young. You can scroll my page. Don't add me though. I am on independent wrestling television. It's $9.99 a month. There's so much good indie wrestling. If you type my name, a bunch of shit will come up. I'm on YouTube. If you type me in, if you Google me, you'll find a bunch of stuff. Just Google MV Young. I found out that I'm the most Googleable MV Young search, so that's great. So go find me there.
Oh, fantastic. I have to battle between me and Billy Sr. For that top Billy Procedure result.
I hate that for you.
I think my first business card I ever did was if you Google me and find an old guy in a suit, that's my dad.
Oh, my God.
Because he's very public and he does press in the tri-state area too. Yeah. So it's just really back and forth. Horse shit real estate shit.
Yeah. Thank God I kept the MV Young.
Well, Patreon people, you're going to hear some more with MV Young tomorrow. But for now, dude, thanks so much. This was a blast. Why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for listening to me rant about being a queer ass wrestler. MV loves you. Bye.
Did you love MV Young? I know I did. That's why I asked the dude to stick around a little longer. I might have fibbed to him a little bit. I was like, hey, you got another 15 minutes? We record like over a half hour more because we really can't stop talking to each other. This dude is so fun, at least when he's caffeinated. And if you want to hear that bonus episode, we're talking a lot more about his polyamorous origins and talking a bit about, how he plans to manage jealousy and communication in his current primary relationship. And you can hear that bonus episode as well as over 200 other bonus episodes at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. One more time, that's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That'll be coming out tomorrow morning. But I'd love to know what you thought about this week's episode, and I'm sure other fan whores would love to know what you thought about it too. You can share your thoughts and your queries and your opinions on our Discord server, The Champagne Room. Head on over to the episode discussion channel. Tell us what you thought. When you're done doing that, drop a picture of one of your pets in the Pets channel. When you're done with that, go peruse through our Sexual Achievements Sunday thread. Hey, there's all sorts of fun to be had in our sex-positive, supportive, playful Discord server. And you can gain access to that for free, totally free, at manwhorepod.com/Discord. Of course, if you want to send me an email with your comments, your questions, your criticisms, you can send any and all of that over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. ManwhoreCon notice, folks, we still just have one room left. It is a double queen bed room. It will require at least 2 different parties to reserve it. Shoot me an email if you want to learn more, if you'd like to reserve it yourself. ManwhoreCon's going to be August 12th to 15th, and fuck am I excited for our super totally it's not an orgy weekend. I want you to tell other people what you think about the Man Whore podcast, preferably on Apple Podcasts, but wherever you listen to the show that does ratings and reviews. It really helps. Please leave 5 stars. That'd be really dope. I'd appreciate it oh so very much if you would. And last but certainly not least, or for some people's opinion, it's definitely the least. If you want a little bit of a sexier access to yours truly, if you want to flirt a bit, you want to send me some nudes, if you want to take a look at some nudes of me. I just posted some more content with my dear friend Lucy Moon. She's such a fucking babe. I do not deserve to have sex with her. But you can pay to watch me do something I don't deserve to do at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. Oh, I am exhausted. I am trying to cleanse my body a bit in preparation for. I got a threesome one night. I got a play party the other night, and I don't want to be stuffed with carbs. So I'm this is like high school. I'm doing 2 days. I'm doing 45 minutes of yoga every morning, and then I'm alternating a push-up day and a running day. Yo, folks, we're vaccinated. We're back. We're getting naked in groups again, and isn't that fucking awesome? And I just want to look pretty when we do it. So, keep working on that downward dog, everybody. Stay slutty. Promescence Delay Spray helps the dick havers last a little bit longer. Not really much else to say about that. It's pretty cut and dry. It's awesome. And if you want to enjoy an exclusive Man Whore podcast discount, visit the link at the top of the show notes of this episode and fill your cart with their premium sexual wellness products. But hurry, you got to click that link before this deal expires on June 16th.